Welcome everybody to the story of Shining Force 2 Battle Royale, or as I like to call it, Shining Force 2 Gaiden, or spin-off, or side story. Now, I'd like to dedicate this video to to my playthrough of Shining Force 2 Battle Royale, a mod created for the original Shining Force 2 The Grand Sale, but as the story is just, the battles and the whole progression is so much different than the original Shining Force 2, I thought like giving it a story to make it even more interesting. So here it goes. Basically it all started, just imagine this, we are after Shining in the Darkness. So basically Dark Sword 2, aka Mephisto, or aka the son of Michaela and Dark Sword, is defeated dead. Basically by a hero in the kingdom of Thornwood, but in Japanese it's actually called Storm Song. Anyways, it's done. No more evil in the world. Everything is fine for I don't know how much time. Let's say not for too long. Then basically you can see the introduction of the mod featuring Gapple pulling out the jewels again from the ancient shrine south of Grand Seal. With that said, obviously the dark energies are starting to rise again, and obviously Mitula and Volcanon recognize that. Now, we all know that during Shining Force 2, the Grand Seal, or sorry, the Ancient Seal, Mitula and Volcanon both took quite active roles in helping the humans. However, this time around, they are really not willing to do so, at least Volcanon. Because basically in Shining Force 2, the original one, what happened was that Volcanon didn't want it to help the Force so that the devils would grow confident in their position. This time Volcanon is just in a bad mood and he's like, no, I don't care. And Mitula goes to Volcanon and informs him like, look, it's happened. Again, the humans did something bad, what to do? And Volcanon says, well, we are gods, we shouldn't interfere. This time it's really on the humans, on the mortals, I should say. But Mitula doesn't really agree with it, and she says that, well, if it's only all on the mortals and she wants to do something, she refuses to be a goddess and she falls to earth as a mere priest. And Volcanon says, well, do what you gotta do. So Mitula does this. She becomes a simple priest and starts to embark on the World of Shining Force to handpick the finest warriors she could gather. And thus, she gathers 11 members for the Force and one advisor. Now, obviously she's going to be the Force leader, well, unofficially, but she does look for a hero, sword wielder, because somebody will have to grab the Holy Sword and defeat Zeon, obviously. Because once you remove basically the jewels of evil and light, Zeon's gonna come back, everybody knows that. We learned this from Shining Force 2. But in this Gaiden, there is no shining hero, so basically Mitula has to enlist somebody, and that somebody is Hindle, who is, although fought dead during Shining Force 1, Gaiden 2, who is actually the brother of Deanna, also a Shining Force leader. Therefore, he has the potential to become the Shining Force's leader and use the Holy Sword. So he's in, he finds Hindle, and yeah, he's still alive. He's still alive, miraculously. Why not? And she also gets good old Musashi and Hanzo, and also goes to, actually, obviously she goes through Permisia, Grants, Rune, and also goes to the world of Shining Force 3 and recruits Waltz from Scenario 2 and Cyber from Scenario 1. Basically, I'd put this story in between Shining Force 2 and Shining Force 3. Therefore, these two heroes are available. And she also finds Domingo and Amigo, both of them known from Shining Force 1 and Shining Force Gaiden. Who else is in the Force now that I'm thinking about? Well, she found some other heroes who are not related to the Force or have no history with the Force, like Wulid, Kamiku, and she finds the advisor Namek, a goblin. And I think that's it, basically. Who else is in the Force now? Oh yeah, obviously she goes to Rune and recruits Wendy. She's also from Shining Force Gaiden 1. And Queen Henri. She's still good. She's still fine. I'm just trying to go through real quick. Maybe I forgot somebody, but I think that's it. That's all the Force. Well, there could be a pre-story that details the adventures of Mythula going through all these worlds and recruiting these warriors. But that's just not the point. So basically it all starts when Mythula finally gathers everybody and they go to Grand Sale to check out the ancient tower, because obviously there's something wrong there. Evil power gathers and they need to check it out. So they go there and they enter the ancient tower, which is infested with stuff. Instead of gizmos there are plasmas and the pyromancer. So they actually want to go deeper to probably hinder Xeon's awakening, if possible, from the roots, just root it out. But they cannot seem to enter deeper into the ancient tower. Thus, they seek out Havel, but Havel is, well, they want to seek out Havel, but Havel is obviously dead. However, there are quite some scriptures and books that Havel had, also hidden under Yale. So basically what they do next, what they set out to do next, is go to Havel's mansion. But before they can do that, as they come out of the castle, and they want to visit the house of Shining Force 2's hero, Bowie, they get ambushed in the town of Grand Sale. So they fight off those monsters and then they go after Yale. They go into Yale, but they cannot really find the secret how to go below Yale to the underground, where all the information is kept. If you remember Shining Force 2, you know you have to play the piano, but they don't know that. I mean, Mythula knows everything, but well, Mythula thinks she knows everything, but she cannot know all the small details. I mean, she's a goddess, and she's just falling from the goddess stature. So it's basically like she had amnesia, like an amnesia-like state, losing all her powers and stuff. Obviously, she can only cast level 1, and she's not going to be too powerful anyways. It's a sacrifice. It's a goddess sacrifice. But so they go to Yale, they can't find anything, and then they go to Havel's mansion to find some books or any clues. And then basically they still can't really find anything, because they couldn't find any clues on how to go to Yale and stuff, how to go to the underground library. So they go to Gellum Castle to probably interrogate anybody. Maybe they know. By the time they get that information, Galam is already under attack by monsters, so they have to fight their way back to Grand Sail before it's too late. They fight through Galam Castle Gate and then the plains south of Galam to go back to Grand Sail. And once they go back to Grand Sail, they go to the ancient tower, and they go deeper into the tower, or actually higher up the tower, only to find Tadam Bazu, who is actually seems to have been awakened in Xian's chamber. However, once they defeat Bazu, the whole tower starts to shake and crumble, and they have to leave it, and they also have to leave Grand Sail because of the earthquake. And well, the same thing happens to Grand Sail as it happened like in Shining Force 2. A huge chasm appears and everything is swallowed, and they have to leave the whole continent by ship. They get attacked on the ship. Obviously they want to circle back to Galam, but they can't. Again, the ship is damaged, and they just go to Permithia instead, where basically they still have New Grand Sail there, the settlement. And then they decide to pick up the trail of the old Shining Force 2 Shining Force, and they go in direction to Ribble. They want to talk to the historians, which Pedro and Petro, which they can't find them there anymore. They are either dead or just gone somewhere, who knows. Then they actually want to go to Volcanon to ask for help, for guidance. So they go all the way through the cavern of darkness, fight their way through all the way up to Bedoe, through the Bedoe cliffs. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Bedoe, whatever. I always call it Bedoe. And then, Volcanon obviously refuses to help them, but he gives a hint that they might want to try to talk to Creed, obviously. Because Creed is still there. He's still an ex-Greater Devil, he's still alive. So, thank you, Volcanon. After this, they just try to find a way to Devil's Tail, which is obviously not an easy thing to do. And this is where the story gets a bit sidetracked. Basically, they go to the eastern desert where Petro's grandfather lives to research upon how to get to Creed's mansion. And they even find a special sword, a flame sword, the first sword that actually Hindle, which is meant for the Force leader, Hindle. And then they take the raft. Obviously they get attacked, not by the Kraken, but by some conches. And then they go through Hassan. They are fighting in the Terror Shrine as well, because they basically want to do the same battles that the original Shining Force 2 did, so they will eventually get to Creed's, because they couldn't really find any information on how to go to Creed's anyhow. So they finally they go through the Elven village, the Elven forest, and finally they arrive at Devil's Tail. And Creed is there, but he locked himself in his room. He's studying. So basically they will have to do the same thing as the original Force did. They go to the chessboard and they turn small. Then they even find devils on the chessboard, so that means that the devils are one step ahead. They're trying to go to Creed as well, possibly to assassinate him. So yeah, they have a fight on the chessboard, and then they go down from the table and go for the red hole, which where they also find devils, which they find very troubling. Still, in the end, they meet with Creed, and then, well, Creed cannot really tell them much, but the obvious that Zane is coming back, and they will need to go back to Grants. But well, obviously they cannot use the Nazca ship because it's one destroyed, second it's on Grants. Therefore, they will have to go back to getting a ship. But then, as they just finished their conversation with Creed, Mitola senses that there is something wrong in Tristan, and as much as she doesn't want to involve the Force in it, the Force, well, everybody agrees that they will have to go back to Tristan and check out her shrine, because she feels that something went wrong and she suspects that it's the devil's thing. So they go all the way. They actually stop at New Grand Sale, and when they are just taking a break in the HQ, they also get attacked again. So then everybody agrees that yeah, they will just have to go against the devils, and first of all just try to root them out, go to Tristan. So that's what happens. They're gonna go back to Tristan before taking the ship back to Grants anyways. So they go to North Cliff, they go through the cave, they fight near Pakalon, they go to Pangot Valley to fight on the bridge, and finally they arrive in Tristan, which is overrun by devils, and they enter Mythos Shrine eventually and find Zalbar there, whom they defeat, and then Mitola is relieved, and everybody agrees that they should go back to New Grand Sale to fetch a ship. However, before they do that, there are some bad rumors going on that Creed got assassinated. So they rush back to Creed's mansion, or let's even say Zalbar drops a piece of information that the Force is heading to Devil's Tail right now. So they try to rush back to Creed's mansion, basically fighting fighting from Tristan to Pakalon. They have to stop at Pakalon Castle, unfortunately, because they want to liberate it. And then they fight. They go back from Pakalon to Ketto. They fight on the plains, and then finally they arrive at Creed's mansion. But Camille has already finished the job. Creed is dead. So they defeat Camela, and then they go back to New Grand Sale, which is also being overrun, but they liberate that city as well, and they get a ship back to Grants from Grand Sale, from New Grand Sale, that is. But the ship gets broken, and they cannot really sail directly to Galam or anywhere near of like to South Grants. So they actually get stuck on North Grants near Roft. That's where they get off the ship, which drifted to North Grants. Can't really explain it better. So then, well, they go to Roft, where Gasp is waiting for them. So they defeat Gasp. They talk to... actually, they don't talk to anybody. From this point, they go straight for the ancient shrine to seek out the sword. And yeah, obviously Hindel will be the Force leader, the official Force leader from now on. And they just go into the ancient tower and defeat Kane and Dark Soul. which they suspect that they have been resurrected by Xeon, unfortunately. And then they will have to go higher up again to the ancient tower, fight a few monsters, and they will find Odd Eye there, almost completing the resurrection of Xeon. They do defeat Odd Eye eventually, and this is where there's a twist. Now everybody wants to go back to Permacia, basically. So when they go to they go back to Roft, to the magic tunnel. So well, basically job done, everybody's happy, Xeon is sealed off, they put the jewels back, and it's time to celebrate, but they all agree that they should go back to Permacia and then say goodbye there. Well, no, actually not. No, the story goes like this. Okay, they go back to the shrine, because everybody goes back to their respective continents. That makes more sense. But when they enter into the magic tunnel together, they still find devils there. And then everybody's shocked, because basically all the evil has been sealed off, every devil was defeated, and they're still there, even in the magic tunnel. And then Mythos suspects trouble, and they even receive word from Volcanon that all the evil has gathered in the magic tunnel of Permacia, basically the entrance station of the magic tunnel. So this is the final show-off. All the greater devils are there, all the evil, well, almost except Bazu, but Bazu is trash. So everybody's there. So they are defeating the greater devils of Xeon, they're defeating Dark Soul, and they're defeating Cain again. And all the evil has been defeated, not sealed away, defeated forever. Because the devils basically gathered all their strength again to be resurrected, and they're putting all the effort into this last battle. And they lose it, so basically good wins. And the Shining Force to Gaiden Shining Force prevails. Now, that is basically the story that I thought of behind my playthrough of Shining Force 2 Battle Royale. Again, thank you very much for the modder, and thank you very much for you guys for following it through, and I hope this video will be like a good treat or a plus to all this, like a bonus. So that's the story. Thank you very much for listening, and hope you enjoyed this whole playthrough, and keep shining.